The Panthers are looking for new ownership. Jerry Richardson gave up control. This has happened in the span of, well, it felt like 4 days, 3 days that it went from there's something going on here to now they're looking for new ownership there. And I'm not sure the value of this team. I don't know where they look for new ownership, how the vetting process works. But I wanted to bring in Mike Florio. Mike, let me start with this. We know that the NFL was investigating Jerry Richardson. Will they continue to investigate these stories, charges, even though Richardson will no longer be there?
Well, Dan, I thought when Jerry Richardson decided he's just going to fold the tent and sell the team, that would short-circuit this process. It makes it irrelevant. He's voluntarily doing what the worst-case scenario would be based upon the upcoming investigation. But the league says they're still going to investigate. He's given up day-to-day control of the team. And I have to wonder whether he has a little remorse for voluntarily walking away when he's still going to get his name potentially dragged through the mud. You know how these investigations go. There's going to be facts that come out. It's going to embarrass him. And at some point he's going to say, why did I agree to sell the team if you're going to do to me what you would have done to me if I'd have said, no, I'm not selling?
What's this team worth?
Whatever someone will pay for it. I mean, I love how Forbes tries to value everything without the appropriate access to the paperwork that would show what the book value is. And then regardless what the book value is, it's what someone will pay for it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have groups line up with others. And I'd just like to say on the record, I'm not interested in buying the Carolina Panthers because I think that's now the thing to do. But or I am interested because what the hell, let's just put some money together and buy the team. But what you have to have is at least one person, and I think the minimum is 30% that one person has to actually be able to buy physically, not with debt, but here's money that I'm going to buy and own this team with. You put your group together, and there's going to be bids. We saw it with the Bills 4 years ago. Donald Trump was one of the bidders. John Bon Jovi had a group, and whoever bids the most is going to get the team. And, I've seen numbers like $2.5 billion. Look, that's guesswork at this point. It's whatever someone will pay. And the best leverage you have if you're going to sell something is to say, screw it, I'm just not going to sell it. Well, Jerry Richardson doesn't have that leverage. He's definitely selling, and that could end up being a factor, too, in what the final price tag is.
But the vetting process now for the NFL, considering the climate here and replacing an owner accused of these, sexual harassment charges, how does it change, and what does that do to the number of candidates here?
Hey, Dan, that's an excellent point because now the stakes are raised. And what else is out there that you don't know about? What other tough questions do you need to ask? And going back to what brought down Richardson, the fact that there were at least 4 situations where there was a settlement with a former employee who made some sort of a claim. Look, it's standard practice in American business to enter into settlement agreements with disgruntled former employees. They get upset. They go see a lawyer. The lawyer identifies the potential claims they could make. You make a few phone calls, you write a few letters, and the next thing you know, there's a settlement. That doesn't mean anybody did anything. And that's a slippery slope for the NFL, whether it's vetting new owners or whether it's going through the files of the other 31 current owners and looking for any other times where someone has paid out money to make a sexual harassment claim go away, even if there was no merit to it whatsoever. So this is a new frontier for the NFL. I hope they understand what they're venturing into as it relates to vetting new owners, as it relates to holding your breath and waiting for the next shoe to drop on whichever owner out there has 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 or however many settlement agreements have been paid out to former employees over the years.
He's Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, also NBC Sports Network. The Aaron Rodgers status for this game coming up. Who's making this call, in your opinion?
Well, I think ultimately it'll be a doctor decision, a medical decision. But, Rodgers has to be a factor in all of this. He said originally, if I'm healthy and if it makes sense, I'll come back. Well, it no longer makes sense. Yeah. They lost. They're out of the playoffs. And I think yesterday when they signed Joe Callahan back to the roster, that was the clue. Even though they didn't get knocked out of the playoffs until last night, I think once Callahan came back, that means Rodgers is going to play. And I think Rodgers is still dealing with that Brett Favre specter that, Brett Favre showed up every game, played every game. I have to be perceived as tough like Brett Favre. And I don't think he's ever going to be the one to say, I'm tapping out. It's got to be the doctor that says, in light of the status of the injury and in light of all the hits he took on Sunday, it's in his best interest not to play. And Rodgers will say all the right things. And I'm not criticizing him for it. I'm just saying, I'm just predicting how it's going to go. Rodgers is going to say he wants to play, and someone from the team is going to say you're not allowed to play.
Mike, good stuff. I'll see you over the weekend.
All right, see you, Dan.
That's Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.